Hi everyone. Today we will have a discussion on the common sense and the sociology. Basically, how the common sense and sociology is interrelated and what are their basic differences. So, let's start. Common sense. Common sense knowledge is often based on ignorance, prejudices, mistaken interpretations. Common sense knowledge based on accumulated experiences, prejudices, beliefs of people. It is often contradictory and inconsistent. Yes. So basically, the definition of common sense is like this: it is based on ignorance, it is based on prejudices and mistaken interpretation. For example, if I meet a guy and he behaved in a very bad way, he was not enough elegant and enough good, which he has to be. He was very vulgar in his ways, in his talking, he had a bad language. So, what I will say, uh, because I have accumulated a kind of experience, and if I get this experience from 2, 3, 4, 5 people around me when I was traveling, when I was to the college or school, so this accumulated knowledge give me an indication. It will make a image in my brain, in my mind, that all the guys are very bad, they are not good. And next time when there will be a good person, I will not treat him well because already I have a prejudice against him. Already I have make up my mind that all the boys are very bad, all the girls are very bad. So all the police inspectors are very bad. They are good, not they are not good in their manners. So basically, common sense is based on the image that you have already created in your mind. For example, in India, it is commonly supposed that female do not know well driving. They don't know how to drive well. So I think recently we have seen a movie. Tapsi Pannu was the main heroine. It was Thappad, the slap. And in the movie, the Tapsi Pannu's husband says to one of the character in the movie, she was an independent lady earning well and she purchased a new car. Then the Tapsi Pannu's husband said that why, if they don't know how to drive, then why she spent so much of money in purchasing a car? It is totally based on his prejudices, his mental makeup. It may be the case that she is a good driver. She is a very good driver instead of that person. So, common sense is based on the belief system, the accumulated experiences, and mistaken interpretation. If something happened to us and we interpret in a different manner, so it is depend upon that how you reflect upon the things. So, for example, it is considered usually, especially in a patriarchal setup, that man is more intelligent than women. It is a commonsensical statement because there is no any scientific theory which say that men are more intelligent. So the basic difference between the common sense and science, because sociology is also a science, the science of society. So the basic difference between the scientific observation and the common sense is the verifiable evidences. Science work upon the evidences. The scientific research or scientific inquiry find that women is as intelligent as men. There is no difference. Common sense observation result in widespread ignorance and rejection. Obviously, next time whenever I meet to a boy, I will obviously ignore him. I will reject him. Doesn't matter how good he is, how intellectual he is. Maybe he is my well wisher, but still, because I have already make up my mental makeup that all the boys are very bad. They do not know how to behave. They are vulgar in their all ways. They are too selfish. They are suffering from their own male ego. These are the something which are usually said about the guys. The male chauvinism, the dominating behavior. Everything should be in their own control. They will decide each and everything. So if I have this kind of experience, then all my future decision will based upon this accumulated knowledge, and this is known as common sense. It is not scientific in its way. And usually it is the common sense which dominate the people's mind. Yes, because this common sense is widespread in society. We use this in our day-to-day life, and we don't go for scientific investigation because this is not our orientation. We are not inclined to that. We are not scientific in our nature basically. We go as we are conditioned. We go as we are made up by the society. We will think as the society wants. This is the total inclination, total orientation of the common sense. The next is common sense may employ a biological perspective in attempting to explain family and marital arrangements. Women rear children because they have maternal instinct biologically determined. Common sense may use pseudo-psychological perspective in explaining the suicide. It may use the moralistic principles or perspective in explaining the crime. Okay. So there is a very common question that why in our traditional society woman is given the total responsibility of taking care of children. Why not the man? He is equally responsible for the birth of the baby. So the general answer which is given that because female have a maternal instinct, that's why. It's mean the things are biologically determined. Why women are involved in household work? So it will be like because they are determined so. It is also biologically determined that they will rear children, they will take the responsibility of the whole household work, and they are not supposed to work outside. I'm talking about much more traditional societies. So answer will be in the biological reasons will be given. And in the terms of suicide, if we say that a particular person committed suicide, what a common sense will say? The common sense will say maybe that person is having his own psychological reason. Maybe his mental health was not well. And the main orientation of common sense is moralistic. The common sense will tell you should do that. For example, there are 2 to 3 ladies of age around 60-65. They are sitting under a tree near a street, and a girl whose age is around 25-26, she is a student and she is passing by there, and these ladies will say that this girl should get married. 25-26 is enough age. At this age we were having 2 to 3 kids, so she should get married. So in their vocabulary they are using should. It's mean they are full of value. In their thinking process, in their interpretation, they have already engaged with this moralistic principle that this should happen. But when we talk about sociology, sociology is not about should. Sociology will only observe the things which are on the surface, in the surface, deeper into the surface. It will go for investigation. It will not go for the moralistic perspectives. And if socio try to define the suicide, then we can go for the Durkheim. Durkheim, one of the famous sociologists, he said that it's not only the mental reasons, the psychological reasons behind the suicide of people. It is the socio-economic reason. The social forces are also there, which are not appearing on the surface directly if we see, but they are working into a deeper level. They will make that particular person feel depressed, that he is not earning well, he do not have that social reputation, what people think will about him, how his society will treat him, how his relatives are going to treat him. Recently I read an article. It was about Maharashtra's farmer suicide, and one of the farmer committed suicide because he was not able to perform all these and give dowry in a daughter's marriage. And he was embarrassed. He was made to feel embarrassed. He was feeling in himself embarrassed that as a father he was not able to fulfill his duties, and he committed suicide. So it is not his mental reason behind his suicide. It is the social forces which are working behind all these things. So this is the basic difference between the common sense and the scientific discipline like sociology. And let's talk about biological perspective. Yes, the nature has blessed a woman with a womb that she can give birth to a new life. But this is apart from giving birth. When we talk about rearing children. So there is a one more factor which is working, that is social conditioning. From their birth, if a female is there in the family, since her childhood she will be told that you have to go to the next house, so perform the household chores very well, behave in that way, don't behave in that way, wear that kind of clothes, don't talk to these kind of people. She will be trained from the right from her birth. She will be given different toys. She will not be allowed too much interaction in the social or in the public space. So from the early childhood she has been given a training to be a good mother, to be a good wife. So this is not because of the biological reason. There is social conditioning. The mental makeup of a female is made up like this, that she has to perform all these duties. So this is also the reason that why women rear children. It is not altogether the maternal instinct. They are not given other option. For example, if they are two female, A and B. The female A, since her childhood, her father encouraged her that you can fly in the sky, you can be a pilot. I think recently we have seen a movie about this. I think this is Gunjan. I'm not able to recall the name of the movie, but still I can think it is Gunjan. So her father was so supportive that he fueled his thoughts, fueled his dreams, that you can be the pilot. And she became a pilot in the Air Force because since her childhood she was conditioned in that way. And if there is another female which is B, and since her childhood she has been taught, like at the age of 18-20 you will get married, you have the responsibility of all household chores, you have to rear children, then she will not have another different thought. She will not have a second thought. And what will she do? She will invest all her time, her energy in that field only. She was not given the choices that it is your choice whether you want to be a doctor, engineer, civil servant or a housewife. She was not given the choice. Now what she will do? She is just supposed to do the choices which were given to her, and she will perform on those choices. Next, the ordinary people are more familiar with these kind of competitive in their everyday life. A sociological approach doesn't come easily to them. Obviously, sociological approach cannot come to a person easily because it requires intensive knowledge about the society, extensive knowledge. That person should have ability to interlink the things and have a bigger image of the things which are happening in society. He should have the capacity thinking at macro level. This is a micro level information that we have. Women are not good driver, they are supposed to rear children, all the males are egoistic, suffering the male chauvinism. No, there are the males which are very egalitarian, very equal in their behavior, and they are very progressive in their thoughts, and they respect women. So these prejudices, common sense, it work at a micro level and it is person specific. It is not universal. Yes, it is not universal and it is not eternal. It is not necessary that a person will have a same thought that another person having. Common sense is not universal or eternal, but it is frequently relative to the particular societies or to a person period in the time. If we talk about the Western societies, you will not find much traditionality. You will not find collectivity there so much. But in Indian society, you will find collectivity at its peak, especially in the rural areas. You will not find to that level, to that extent of individuality in here, in Indian society, especially in the rural areas. The major decision taken by the family, whether it is a matter of marriage, education, career, or anything else. Common sense view of differences in behavior between men and women in the family in our society tends to assume that because there are biological and psychological differences between man and woman, certain aspects of their behavior are therefore natural. So as we have discussed earlier, they will answer the things in biological terms, in psychological terms. They think that both are quite different. They don't count the factor of social conditioning, social forces, the choices, preferences which were given to them. They will not talk in that terms. They will say that psychologically male female are different. Psychologically male are far superior. They are more intellectual. They will say biologically the females are weak, and they also relate somewhere it to mental level also. Though she is a female, she don't have that thinking capacity. So all their reasons are in the field of biology and the psychology. For example, it is often argued that it is common sense and natural that women will engage in child rearing and domestic tasks and men will make sexual advances and will work outside the home. I think you have witnessed in the Bollywood movies that it is only the hero that will propose a female. That he will ask, will you marry me? It's not the female. It is projected in a way, and it is not only projected, it is also feeding in our brain that oh, it's only the male which will make an advance. Female can't do this. If female do this, it is not something as good as that male propose. So this is a projection of thoughts, and it work as an impetus. It work as a driving force. The people who take decision. For example, if there is a male whose name is Mohan. I think these Mohan Sohan are very common name, na? Let's a different name. It's Anurag. It's a good name. There is a male Anurag, and he has seen all these Bollywood movies in which there is a hero who will ask every time, or he proposed to his girlfriend, and he has seen this kind of movies many times. So what kind of thought he will have? Obviously, if he is feeding his brain with this kind of thought, then in his own personal life he will work according to that, because the information that he has, he have to act according to that only. And now there is a sociologist Mead. He has studied in New Guinea. The name of his study is Sex and Temperament in 3 Primitive Societies. The 3 societies were Apache, Munduruku, and the Chambuli. So in his studies, what he find that these common sense interpretations of behavior pattern, she tried to study them. In Apache, she found that very few natural differences between the man and woman behavior, and neither the sex exhibiting aggression. No one is aggressive. Women do heavy lifting work. Men stay at home with their wife during and after the childbirth and sharing the pain and the strain. It's mean there was much equality in their natural behavior. They were neither very aggressive, and women also participated in all those tasks which are to be the male's domain, and even the men also take part in the household chores, in the child rearing. So this is a one particular study. In her next study, in Mundruko, she finds that both sexes are aggressive and children are treated very brutally. Poor children. And both parents are aggressive and love making was rather like a pitched battle. It's mean here we find that both male and female were aggressive. And in a third society, she found that men adorned themselves, women selected their partner, women made the sexual advances, and they were more aggressive. In the Chamboli society, in this tribal group, you will find that men are the who decorate themselves, adorn themselves, and female have the opportunity. They make advances. They make sexual advances. They will select their partner, and they will be more aggressive. So from these three studies, what we find that yet there are biological difference between the male and female, but it is the social conditioning, the social force which make them what they are. We cannot explain these striking variations in the behavior by biology, because all they are male, all they are female, but all they are behaving in a different way in different societies. In some societies, the females are more advanced. They are selecting their partners. In some societies, the male are also taking part in household chores and child rearing. And in some societies, the male are making only sexual advances and female are only limited to the household work. So we find these striking variations. So we cannot answer these variations by the biology. Biologically, in all the societies, all are male and female. So how we can answer them? We can answer them by studying their society, their social forces, their preferences, their social group choices, various schemes all over the biology. So this is the basic difference between the sociology and the common sense. Common sense and wider social forces. Common sense explanations are generally based on what may be called as naturalistic and individualistic explanation. Obviously, if we are two individuals, both of us have a different experience and we have accumulated a different experience, so we will explain the things, we will interpret the things differently. In the common sense, there is no attempt to understand and explain the phenomena of wider social forces. Obviously, we don't count the wider social forces. In the case of a farmer suicide, we count only just that he was depressed because he was not able to perform the ceremonies up to that level which was expected from him. Okay, but we fail to count the socio-economic pressure on him. We fail to count that he was intimidated by the reaction of the people, the reaction of his society. So the wider social forces which are working are not counted in the common sense. For example, it is natural two people fall in love, get married and live together and raise a family. So they are two individuals, they fell in love, they get married, they were having a family. But here we are only counting these two individuals. They have their own family, they have their social reputation, economic reputation. There will be the social forces which will say that they should not get married because they have the same gotra. You will find in the northern India, there are many cases of honor killing, because these honor killing are the social forces. These social forces will decide that which person can get married to another person. If you are a same gotra, if you are same caste, and if you are not economically secure, so the society will not improve, the family will not improve. That doesn't matter how much you love each other, you will not get married with the social consent. Okay, with social consent, with family consent. So the individualistic explanation rejected because it doesn't recognize the importance of vital social forces acting on the individual. So obviously we know the social forces act on individual and they make an individual force to go for those choices which he or she doesn't actually want, but they have to do it because it is expected from them. Naturalistic explanation rejected by the sociologist because it failed to recognize the behavior pattern and not primarily biologically determined but the social conventions are learned by individual as a member of the social group. Obviously, there are social conventions, there are social expectations, there is social conditioning, but this naturalistic or individualistic explanation don't count it, and it is the biggest failure of common sense. And it is an advantage for a scientific discipline like society, like sociology, that it can investigate these vital social forces and can widen its scope. Common sense is unreflective. Sociology is a body of concept. It has its own methods. It has its own data. Yet it is not so much accurate like the physics and chemistry have. It is loosely coordinated, but still it has a substantial matter. It has a substantial scope of study. Common sense is unreflective. Why it is unreflective? Because it doesn't go for the questioning that what is its origin, why do people hold this view, why society prefer one thing instead of another. The systematic and questioning approach of sociology is derived from a broader tradition of scientific investigation. So what makes sociology the far more accurate and far more correct in its approach is its scientific investigation. One person common sense is somebody else nonsense. For example, there is a group, Hopi Indians in the North America. They think that these rain clouds, they are God. They are some divine force. And if they really need rain, then they need to dance and make this divine force happy. This is their own thinking process. This is their own concept of clouds. But the meteorological department is not agree with this. Essential point is this: one person's common sense is somebody else's nonsense, and there are many examples of sociological and anthropological investigation questioning and exploring the many common sense notion about the behavior. The use of everyday common sense belief is usually not only unsystematic, inadequate and contradictory. So we can say the common sense is unsystematic. There is no particular system. There is no particular pattern that how you will define the things. If one person behave not up to the point with you, it doesn't mean all other people are not good in their approach. So there is no any system. It is inadequate. You cannot make a image of a person. You cannot judge a book by its cover. You cannot judge the behavior of one people and compare it with another and think that other will also like this. And it is often contradictory, as we have seen in the upper example, that the people in the North Indian group, they think that clouds are the god, but other people, it is not necessary that other people will also think it. And the last page is like this: a statement based on common sense may be a guess, it may be a head way of saying, it is generally based on ignorance, bias, prejudices, mistaken interpretation, though occasionally it may be wise, true and useful bit of knowledge. So it is not always that a common sense will be based on the ignorance and prejudice. Sometimes common sense can also give a wise, true and useful knowledge. Like in today's time, all the knowledge that we have about Ayurveda, about the herbal medicines, so it is also based on a common sense. The Rishi Munis, the intellectuals of the ancient period, they explain the things to us. Yet they didn't go for the chemical reactions. They didn't explain to us. But it was their common sense because they have worked so well and they have done extensive work of these herbs and Ayurvedic medicines, that they are well aware about their consequences. So it is not always that a common sense will result in nonsense. Not. It can give you a wise, true and useful bit of knowledge. At one time, The common sense statement might have preserved the folk wisdom, but today's scientific method have become a common way of seeking truth about our social world. So that there is one of another positive aspect of the common sense, that it preserve our ancient knowledge, the preserve the wisdom of the people. Because from, for example, if there is a grandmother and she is telling a story to her kids, then she will tell them that you should not talk to stranger, you should not take things from stranger. So it is also useful. As we know, there are so many instances of the child kidnapping, the human trafficking. What they do, they just try to trap that children by giving him toys or by giving her the chocolates, and then they kidnap her or him, and all this result into the human trafficking, the wide exploitation of children. So the story which was told by the grandmother to her grandchildren is a useful bit of knowledge, of information, that you should not take strangers. Yet we cannot say that all the strangers are kidnapper, but still the knowledge, the wisdom which is given by the grandmother is very useful. It is a wise choice. Common sense, if we talk about the poverty, that why the poverty is prevalence in some society and why it is not another, why other societies are very prosperous. So if you go for common sense, that people will say that this rickshaw wala bhaiya is poor because he is having a low intelligence. But no one will say that the social structure is like this, that these people cannot come from this trap. Their social structure, their thinking habits, their social conditioning is not like this. They are not given the choices. They don't have that knowledge, that information that they supposed to have if they want to come out of that poverty. So in sociology, the poverty is structural inequality. The structure, the pattern, the society is working at that level that they are not given the enough opportunities to come out of the trap of the poverty. There is no culture of excellence. So guys, this is our the basic difference between the common sense, the scientific discipline, which may call the sociology. So that's all. Have a nice time, guys.